CODIS returned nothing. The DNA profile from the black glove found 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home was submitted to the FBI's Combined DNA Index System on Tuesday, February 17, 2026. The database ran that unknown male profile against 19 million offender profiles, 6 million arrestee profiles, and 1.45 million forensic profiles from crime scenes across the United States. And it came back empty. No match, no name, no criminal history, no prior qualifying arrest. The suspect, who spent 41 minutes inside Nancy Guthrie's home the night she disappeared, who left biological material inside a glove he discarded in the Arizona desert, has never been in the CODIS system. But Sheriff Chris Nanos made something clear on Tuesday afternoon when he confirmed the result to NBC News. He said, and these are his exact words, "That's not the end." He continued, "Now we start with genealogy, and some of the partial DNA we have at the home. Genealogy, the same forensic technique that identified the Golden State Killer after 4 decades. The same pathway that has solved dozens of cold cases in the last 6 years. The process that takes an unknown DNA profile and builds a family tree backward through public genealogy databases until it narrows to a specific individual. It is slower than a CODIS hit. But in 2026, with specialized FBI units and advanced algorithms, what used to take months now takes days. And investigators are not waiting. The genealogy process has already begun. This is not a video about a dead end. This is a video about a pivot. The science did not fail. It just opened a different door. And that door, according to what forensic genealogy has proven in dozens of cases, leads to the same destination: a name, an address, an identification. At the same time, there are new developments that have not received the attention they deserve. Sheriff Nanos revealed that images of the suspect on Nancy's porch may show him wearing a ring. A visible piece of jewelry that could be distinctive, traceable, and potentially identifiable by someone who knows him. There is also confirmation of advanced technology deployed in the search. A company called Parsons Corporation, using a system called Bluefly, has been assisting with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi detection from helicopters, ground vehicles, and on foot. They are searching for electronic signals, including Nancy's pacemaker, across hundreds of square miles of desert terrain. And separately, a detail emerged about Adult Protective Services. On the day Nancy was reported missing, a neighbor called APS. An investigator was sent to her home. That call, that timing, raises questions about what that neighbor may have observed in the days or hours before Nancy disappeared. 18 days into this investigation, the search has not slowed. It has pivoted. 400 investigators remain assigned. Nearly 40,000 tips have been received. The Walmart backpack has been identified as sold exclusively at one retailer, with purchase records being cross-referenced against surveillance footage at every Tucson area store. The family has been formally and completely cleared, and the DNA, the unknown male profile that did not match anyone in CODIS, is now being run through a different kind of database, one that does not require a prior arrest, one that searches for relatives, not criminals, one that has never failed to produce a name when the profile is viable and the family tree is built far enough. Before we examine what the no-match CODIS result actually means, where the genealogy pathway leads, what the ring detail could reveal, and what happens next in a case where an 84-year-old woman has been without her medication for 18 days, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. This case is developing by the hour. Every forensic update, every new piece of evidence, every investigative pivot, we are tracking all of it. New investigations every week. Subscribe now. Nancy Ellen Guthrie, 84 years old, born January 27, 1942 in Fort Wright, Kentucky. She has lived in Tucson, Arizona for more than 50 years. She was married to Charles Guthrie until his death in 1988 during a mining exploration trip in Mexico. He was 49. Nancy raised her 3 children, Savannah, Annie, and Cameron, and built an independent life in the Catalina foothills. Her daughter Savannah is the co-anchor of NBC's Today Show. That connection is why this case is on every news channel in America. But Nancy was a person, a full and real person, decades before her daughter became famous. She is known in her church community. She plays cards with family. She manages her own home. She is by all accounts mentally sharp and fiercely independent. She has a pacemaker. She takes daily medication for blood pressure. According to what Sheriff Nanos said publicly, she could not walk 50 yards without assistance. Those are not background details. Those are survival facts. Every day without her medication is a medical countdown layered on top of a criminal investigation. On the evening of January 31st, 2026, she had dinner at her daughter Annie's house. Cards, family time. Her son-in-law drove her home at 9:45 p.m. The garage door closed at 9:50 p.m. And sometime in the hours that followed, a masked man approached her front door, spent 41 minutes on her property, and Nancy Guthrie disappeared. Let's be precise about what happened with CODIS and what it tells us. The DNA profile extracted from the glove, found approximately 2 miles from Nancy's home, was confirmed as belonging to an unknown male. Preliminary results were received on Saturday, February 14th. Quality control was completed. The profile was viable, meaning it was complete enough and clean enough to be searchable. It was submitted to CODIS, the FBI's combined DNA index system. CODIS contains, as of late 2025, more than 19 million offender profiles from individuals convicted of qualifying crimes, over 6 million arrestee profiles from people detained for serious offenses, and approximately 1.45 million forensic profiles from unsolved crime scenes. The system has produced more than 781,000 hits and assisted in over 758,000 investigations since it was established. When an unknown profile is run through CODIS, the system compares it against every entry simultaneously. If there is a match, investigators receive immediate notification with a name, a criminal history, and identifying information. On Tuesday, February 17th, the Pima County Sheriff's Department confirmed publicly that the DNA from the glove did not yield any hits on the CODIS database. No match. What does that mean? It means the unknown male who left DNA inside that glove has never been arrested for a qualifying offense that would place his profile in the federal database. It does not mean he has no criminal history. It means he has no qualifying federal DNA entry. There are categories of crimes and jurisdictions where DNA collection does not occur or is not submitted to CODIS. A person with misdemeanor arrests, with arrests in jurisdictions that do not routinely collect DNA, or with no arrests at all, would not be in the system. It also does not mean the investigation has hit a wall. Sheriff Nanos was explicit about this. He told NBC News on Tuesday afternoon, "That's not the end. Now we start with genealogy and some of the partial DNA we have at the home." Genealogy. Forensic genetic genealogy. The process that does not require the suspect to be in any criminal database. It requires only that someone, somewhere in his extended family, submitted DNA to a consumer genealogy service. And statistically, in 2026, the probability that an American has at least one relative in a public genealogy database is extraordinarily high. Let's talk about how that process actually works because it matters. Investigators take the unknown DNA profile and upload it to public genealogy databases like GEDmatch, Family Tree DNA, and other platforms where users have opted in to law enforcement searches. The system is not looking for the suspect. It is looking for genetic relatives, third cousins, great aunts, distant family members who share enough markers to indicate a common ancestor. Once partial matches are found, forensic genealogists build family trees. They work backward to identify the common ancestor, then forward through every descendant line to narrow the pool. They eliminate females if the suspect is male. They eliminate individuals who were not in Arizona on February 1st, 2026. They eliminate people who do not match the physical description from the surveillance footage. Eventually, the tree narrows to a specific individual or a small group of individuals who fit every parameter. Colleen Fitzpatrick, a leading forensic genealogist who has worked on dozens of cases, described the process this way. It is like solving a Sudoku puzzle. You are not looking for one match. You are looking for a network. If they are related to you, they are related to each other. You build the connections. You work the tree, and eventually you find the person. This is how Joseph James DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, was identified in 2018. He had committed crimes for more than a decade across California in the 1970s and 1980s. He was never in CODIS, but a distant relative had submitted DNA to a public genealogy database. That partial match built a tree. The tree produced a specific suspect. Discarded DNA from his trash confirmed the match. He was arrested after 4 decades of anonymity. The technology has advanced significantly since 2018. The databases are larger. The algorithms are faster. The FBI has a specialized unit dedicated entirely to forensic genealogy. In 2026, what took months in the DeAngelo case can be compressed into days. Sheriff Nanos also mentioned something critical in his statement to NBC. He said, "We have some partial DNA we have at the home. That is a separate profile from the glove. That DNA, collected from somewhere inside Nancy's property, also belongs to an unknown male. It does not match Nancy or anyone in her known circle. If the glove DNA and the home DNA match each other, investigators have the same unknown male at 2 locations, inside the house and 2 miles down a specific route. That chain of evidence is powerful even before genealogy produces a name. If they do not match, the investigation has 2 separate unknown DNA sources to account for. That could support theories about multiple people being involved. It could also mean one profile has an innocent explanation. Either way, the genealogy process is running, and it does not require the suspect to have made a single mistake beyond leaving his DNA in a place where it could be found. On Tuesday, Sheriff Nanos revealed something that has not been widely reported yet. He said that surveillance images from Nancy's doorbell camera may show the suspect wearing a ring. A ring. He was careful. He said, "I look at the same photo you look at and I see it. I'm going to give that to my team. They'll look at that. They'll analyze it and we'll see. Maybe it is. But the fact that he mentioned it publicly means investigators are taking it seriously. A ring is a visible, potentially distinctive piece of jewelry. Rings can be identified by style, material, design. If the suspect was wearing a ring during the commission of a crime, and someone who knows him recognizes that ring from the footage, that is actionable intelligence. The FBI has already described the suspect based on the doorbell footage. Male, approximately 5 feet 9 to 5 feet 10 inches tall, average build, black ski mask, heavy black gloves, likely doubled, dark clothing, sneakers, 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack backpack, a gun holster worn low on his body, and now possibly a ring visible in enhanced imagery. Every detail matters. Every identifiable characteristic narrows the pool. The backpack is a Walmart exclusive. The holster is a cheap, approximately $10 model available at Walmart, with a distinctive design that firearms experts have described as unusual. The combination of that specific holster with what appears to be a Walther semi-automatic handgun in the footage is rare enough to be memorable. And now, a ring. There is also new confirmation of the technology being used in the search. Parsons Corporation issued a statement on Tuesday confirming that it has been assisting the Pima County Sheriff's Department with a system called Bluefly. Bluefly is a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi sensor designed for search and rescue operations in challenging environments. It has been deployed on helicopters, ground vehicles, and on foot across the terrain surrounding Nancy's home. The system works by detecting electronic signals and creating a heat map that identifies signal sources within a search area. Nancy's pacemaker emits a Bluetooth signal. If that signal is active and within range, Bluefly can theoretically detect it. The search has been extensive. The fact that no signal has been detected means Nancy is either not in the areas that have been covered, the pacemaker is no longer transmitting, or there is a physical barrier preventing detection. Sheriff Nanos also addressed something on Tuesday that raises questions about the timeline leading up to Nancy's disappearance. He confirmed that on February 1st, the day Nancy was reported missing, a neighbor called Adult Protective Services, APS, sent an investigator to Nancy's home. Why did that neighbor call APS? What did they observe? Was it routine concern or was it based on something specific they noticed? Investigators have not disclosed the details of that APS visit or what prompted the neighbor's call, but the the same day Nancy was reported missing, suggests that neighbor may have information about Nancy's condition or circumstances in the hours before her disappearance. These details, the ring, the Bluefly technology, the APS call, are pieces of a larger operational picture. Investigators are not sitting still. They are working every available angle while the genealogy process runs in parallel. Sheriff Nanos called the backpack one of the most promising leads in the entire investigation, and for good reason. The 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack visible on the suspect's back in the doorbell footage is a Walmart private label exclusive. It is not sold at any other retailer. Every unit sold, whether in-store or online, creates a transaction record. Walmart has provided investigators with records of every purchase of that specific backpack made in recent weeks and months across Arizona and potentially neighboring states. According to what Nanos confirmed publicly, investigators are working with Walmart managers across the state to determine how many sales occurred in the last 20, 30, and 60 days. Every transaction has a date, a time, a store location, and a payment method. In-store cash transactions are the hardest to trace by payment alone, but every Walmart checkout lane has security cameras. Every entrance has cameras. Every parking lot has cameras. A cash purchase still creates a visual record of the person who carried that backpack to the register and the vehicle they drove. Online purchases are even more traceable. IP addresses are logged. Delivery addresses are logged. Account information for Walmart Plus members or app users is logged. Even a guest checkout creates digital exhaust that can be traced backward. Investigators have spent several days reviewing Walmart surveillance footage at Tucson area locations. That is not casual browsing. That is systematic cross-referencing of purchase records against in-store camera footage, looking for the specific transaction that put that specific backpack into the hands of the man who appeared at Nancy's door. And the backpack is not the only item. The gun holster visible in the footage has been identified by law enforcement sources as a cheap, approximately $10 model available at Walmart. According to what Sheriff Nanos confirmed on Tuesday, investigators know the suspect had a gun and that the holster has unique characteristics. The ski mask and dark clothing may also trace to Walmart, though those items are not retailer exclusive. Still, if the suspect purchased the backpack, the holster, the mask, and the clothing in a single shopping trip, or even across multiple trips within a narrow time window, those transactions are connected. This is where retail forensics in 2026 becomes extraordinarily powerful. Walmart's database systems combined with facial recognition technology that can be applied to in-store surveillance footage, combined with license plate readers in parking lots, create layers of traceable data that a suspect preparing for a crime almost never fully accounts for. The man with the backpack thought he was anonymous because he wore a mask to the house. He did not account for the fact that the preparation for the crime, the purchase of the equipment, was already logged in systems that do not delete transaction records. Let's talk about exactly what is happening right now with the genealogy process because it is the most important investigative thread currently active. The FBI's specialized genealogy unit has taken the unknown male DNA profile from the glove and is uploading it to public genealogy databases. Platforms like GED Match, which specifically allows law enforcement access, are the primary targets. Users of these platforms have opted into having their genetic information compared against forensic profiles. The upload does not search for the suspect. It searches for anyone who shares genetic markers indicating a family relationship. The system is looking for third cousins, fourth cousins, great-great-grandparents' descendants, anyone in the extended family tree. When partial matches are found, forensic genealogists begin building the tree. This is painstaking work. It requires accessing public records, genealogy databases, obituaries, marriage records, birth certificates, census data, and any other publicly available information that maps family relationships. The goal is to work backward from the partial match to a common ancestor, and then forward through every descendant line, until the tree narrows to individuals who match the parameters. The parameters in this case are specific. The suspect is male. He is approximately 5 feet 9 to 5 feet 10 inches tall. He has an average build. He was in Tucson, Arizona on the night of February 1st, 2026. He had access to or purchased a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack backpack. He may have a distinctive ring. He may have purchased a gun holster at Walmart. He does not have a qualifying arrest in the CODIS database. As the genealogy tree is built, individuals are eliminated systematically. Females are eliminated if the DNA is confirmed male. People who were verifiably not in Arizona on February 1st are eliminated. People whose physical characteristics do not match the surveillance footage are eliminated. Eventually, the tree produces a short list of individuals, sometimes as few as 1 or 2, who fit every single parameter. At that point, investigators move to direct confirmation. They collect discarded DNA from a suspect's trash, from a cigarette butt, from a discarded cup, anything that can be tested without requiring a warrant. That sample is compared against the glove profile. If it matches, the identification is confirmed. This process, which once took months, has been compressed significantly in recent years. The databases are larger. The algorithms that suggest family connections are faster. The FBI has personnel dedicated entirely to this work. Cases that took 6 months in 2018 are being solved in 2 to 3 weeks in 2026. Sheriff Nanos also mentioned partial DNA from inside Nancy's home. If that partial profile can be enhanced, or if it is sufficient for genealogy searching, it provides a second pathway. 2 separate genealogy searches running in parallel increase the probability of finding overlapping family connections. If both profiles point to the same extended family, the tree narrows even faster. The suspect, whoever he is, likely believes that because he is not in CODIS, he is safe. He does not understand that in 2026, not being in a criminal database is no longer sufficient protection. The moment he left his DNA in that glove, he connected himself to a genetic network that extends to millions of people. And somewhere in that network, someone, a third cousin who did a genealogy test out of curiosity, a distant aunt who wanted to trace her ancestry, a relative he may not even know exists, is in a database. And that connection will be found. This is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. On Monday, February 16th, Sheriff Nanos issued the most definitive statement about the Guthrie family that has been made during this investigation. He said, "To be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious, and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple." That statement came after weeks of speculation on social media and in certain media outlets about the family's potential involvement. Tommaso Cioni, Annie's husband, was the last person documented to be with Nancy before she disappeared. He drove her home. Searches were conducted at Annie and Tommaso's residence. A vehicle was towed. All of that fueled speculation. Nanos ended it formally, completely. The family is cleared. All siblings, all spouses. They are victims, not suspects. Arizona State Representative Alma Hernandez spoke publicly about the damage being done by social media misinformation in this case. She called out what she described as grifters spreading false information for views. She said, "Stop putting out this nonsense. Based on the information they're putting out, we're seeing that the calls are increasing to the sheriff and FBI on tips because they saw a video that someone posted. The tip line problem is real. Nearly 40,000 tips have been received. The FBI's National Threat Operations Center has fielded more than 18,000 tips alone. But when a significant percentage of those tips are based on fabricated social media content rather than genuine observations, investigators have to spend time filtering signal from noise. Every bad tip is time not spent following a real lead." Savannah Guthrie posted another video on Sunday, February 15th, marking 2 weeks since her mother disappeared. She said, "We still have hope and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is, that it's never too late and you're not lost or alone, and it is never too late to do the right thing. And we are here. We believe. We believe in the essential goodness of every human being. That message is not just grief. It is strategy. If the person holding Nancy is someone who got in over their head, someone operating from panic rather than planning, someone who has spent 18 days trying to figure out what to do next. Savannah's message is aimed directly at that psychology. There is a way out. Not a good way, but a way that does not require another irreversible decision. Let's be direct about what 18 days means for Nancy Guthrie. She is 84 years old. She has a pacemaker. She takes daily medication for blood pressure and chronic pain. Her family has described her as being in constant pain even under normal medical management. According to what Sheriff Nanos said publicly, she could not walk 50 yards without assistance. 18 days without blood pressure medication for someone with a significant cardiac history is not a minor gap in treatment. Blood pressure that is uncontrolled for that length of time places sustained stress on the cardiovascular system, the kidneys, the brain. The risk of stroke, cardiac event, or organ damage compounds with every day that passes. The pacemaker itself does not require the smartphone app to function. Implanted pacemakers operate independently, but the disconnection of the app at 2:28 a.m. on February 1st indicated that Nancy was moved beyond Bluetooth range of her phone, or that something severed that connection. The pacemaker may still be functioning, but without the monitoring system, there is no way to know if Nancy is experiencing arrhythmias or other cardiac complications. The Bluefly technology deployed by Parsons Corporation was specifically searching for the pacemaker's Bluetooth signal. The fact that no signal has been detected across extensive aerial and ground searches means Nancy is not in the covered areas. The device is no longer transmitting, or there is physical shielding preventing detection. Every day this investigation continues is a day that matters in terms not just of legal outcome, but of biological survival. The genealogy pathway is not slow by historical standards, but for a woman who needed her medication 18 days ago, every additional day is risk layered on risk. Here is where everything stands as of right now, February 18, 2026. CODIS returned no match. The unknown male DNA from the glove is not in the federal criminal database. The suspect has no qualifying prior arrest that placed his profile in the system, but genealogy has begun. The FBI's specialized unit is building family trees from partial matches in public genealogy databases. That process, which identified the Golden State Killer after 4 decades, is running right now, and in 2026 it is faster than it has ever been. Separately, unknown male DNA was collected from inside Nancy's home. According to what Sheriff Nanos stated, partial DNA from the home is also being analyzed. If that profile matches the glove DNA, investigators have the same unknown male at 2 locations, inside the house and 2 miles down a specific route. If the profiles do not match, the investigation has 2 separate DNA sources to account for. Either way, the genealogy process applies to both. Walmart has provided purchase records for every Ozark Trail hiker pack sold in recent weeks and months. Investigators are cross-referencing those records against surveillance footage at Tucson area stores. The backpack is a retailer exclusive. Every sale is logged. Every checkout lane has cameras. Every parking lot has license plate readers. The gun holster visible in the surveillance footage has unique characteristics. Investigators are working through gun shops with a list of specific names, asking whether anyone on that list purchased firearms or related equipment. Enhanced imagery of the suspect may show him wearing a ring, a visible, potentially distinctive piece of jewelry that someone who knows him might recognize. The Guthrie family has been formally and completely cleared. All siblings, all spouses. They are victims, not suspects. 400 investigators are assigned. Nearly 40,000 tips have been received. Bluefly technology is scanning for electronic signals. The search has not paused. It has pivoted. And 18 days after Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her home, the science that was supposed to identify her abductor immediately did not. But the science that works more slowly, that builds family trees through public databases, that does not require a criminal history, that has never failed when the profile is viable and the tree is built far enough, is running right now. He wore a mask. He smashed the camera. He wore double gloves. He thought that was enough. He left his DNA in a glove in the desert. He bought a Walmart exclusive backpack. He may have been wearing a ring. He left biological material inside Nancy Guthrie's home, and every one of those details is a thread that connects back to him. CODIS did not have his name, but somewhere in a family tree that is being built right now from public genealogy databases, there is a third cousin, a distant aunt, a relative he may not even know, who submitted DNA to trace their ancestry. And that connection will lead investigators to a specific household, to a specific individual, to a name. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. And for an 84-year-old woman who has been without her medication for 18 days, when is everything? This investigation has been presented with complete respect for Nancy Guthrie and her family. Every analysis presented here is grounded in official law enforcement statements and verified reporting from national news organizations. Our goal is to examine the evidence and search for truth. If this investigation moved you, subscribe to the investigation room. Hit that notification bell. We are not looking away from this case, not until Nancy Guthrie comes home. Because here we do not speculate. We examine what the documented evidence actually shows. And the evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case shows that CODIS returning empty was not the end. It was a pivot to a pathway that has never failed when followed far enough. Nancy deserves to come home. Her family deserves answers. The evidence deserves to produce justice. The investigation continues.